We are.
Good morning, everyone. It is June 21st, 2022. We'll call the Wright County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Welcome, everyone. So our first order of business is the minutes from 6/7. Does anyone have any corrections to those minutes?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Ketchmark.
a good thing I made notes on it. I don't have a internet connection right now, but for reference, page 4 of 8,
Okay,
I believe it was about 3/4 of the way down where we're talking about the gravel moratorium, and it should say I deferred to Commissioner Vetch due to concerns stemming from his district, and it says something about due to him having more investment. So I would like that change.
all right, to,
Yes, this is Kazmarek deferred to Vetch, who showed more investment. So I guess it should just be change that from had more investment to whatever.
Due to concerns stemming from his district.
okay. Good.
And I'd make a motion to approve the minutes with that one change.
All right, motion made by Commissioner Ketchmark. Is there a
I'll
second?
second it.
Second by Commissioner Delight. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, the minutes are approved. Review and approval of agenda. Anything that needs to be, we do have something on the consent agenda. I don't know if we want to move that right, pull that now, or just wait till consent, okay. Anything? Hearing none,
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as written.
all right.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Delight, seconded by Commissioner Wetter. No discussion, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, all right. Consent agenda. So I do have something, but Minister Kelly, if you want to,
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. One item that we should pull from the consent agenda and act on individually is under consent B, Administration Finance number 4. There is a resolution regarding the performance management resolution for that grant application. Should address that as a voice vote as a resolution. So we could move that down either as a timed item or address it individually now, or put it as an item for consideration. Kind of a housekeeping item, but it does require a voice vote.
why don't we put it under timed item number C, resolution? If that's okay with everyone.
Okay, either way.
Yeah, doesn't matter. All right. Anything else on the consent agenda anyone would like removed?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the removal of B4.
All right.
I'll second.
Motion made by Commissioner Vetch, seconded by Commissioner Ketchmark. Discussion, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, no opposed. All right, moving on to our timed items. Is it Mr. Berry or Mr. Ned?
Madam Chair, members of the board, the resolution presented to you this morning has to do with the expansion of the Knife River Nacagaboran Pit in Silver Lake Township and the determination, Silver Creek Township, I'm sorry, and the determination for an environmental impact statement related to the expansion of that pit, as outlined with the environmental assessment worksheet that was prepared for the project as required by Minnesota rule.
That was a Quite a packet of reading we had.
Sorry.
No, it's good. It's actually kind of interesting to go back to the 1970 when it was initially started and how they had to move their garbage to another landfill, and so it's actually pretty. So essentially, what's your recommendation? I mean, it seems like, all the questions were answered appropriately. I mean, I'm not a hydrologist or a geologist or.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. So the pit, of course, has been in operation since 1984. It was expanded in 2017, and during that expansion effort, it actually triggered a threshold volume that required the preparation of an environmental assessment worksheet. That document was prepared. The board at that time made a determination that no further environmental review was warranted, so an EIS was not prepared. So now the proposal is to expand the pit again, yet it's really staying within the permitted boundary, and instead of mining 10 acres that were previously permitted, instead we'll be mining 14 acres, give or take. And so it's all within the permitted boundary. Essentially, the analyses that were performed before satisfied the environmental review for this go-around with a few exceptions. And so the project proponent, Knife River, consulted with various organizations, had new wetland delineations performed and that kind of thing. Their analysis effectively, in our staff's perspective, addresses the concerns, and environmental effects are not expected beyond what was already identified. So we believe the determination should be for no environmental impact statement, so a negative determination.
And they are looking at, reclamation processes and that kind of thing too, and it's not, from everything I read, that was what I felt, that another EIA was not or EIS, excuse me. Any legal opinion or?
Madam Chair, members of the board, staff did go through the proper rules for the preparation of the CAW. It was found to be satisfactorily complete by the staff. We did go out and publish it. All comments that were received were given a response that has been incorporated into the resolutions that are before the board, and I would agree with Mr. Pettit's comments that staff has not found a need for an EIS at this time. This is an expansion off of another EAW that was done in 2017. They just simply went outside the boundaries that were studied before, so they had to update the EAW. So we're not seeing any need, at least at the staff level, but it's up to the board how you want to proceed.
And Madam Chair, just for clarification, because my understanding, they only went like 4 acres outside of the original 10 that they went, so that kind of is what really triggered it.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah, in essence, they did not satisfy the threshold volume that would require a new EAW, but instead our department determined that there was a potential for environmental effects. So they requested the preparation of a amended EAW to cover those and assure that there weren't significant effects. So that's essentially what they did.
Yeah, it certainly was thorough.
Yeah, 350 pages. And I do have to qualify, if I could, that the resolutions, I had to make a couple of corrections to some typographical blips that I found in there. Specifically, I had to call out the fact that we received 5 letters of comment and 1 email, including comments from agencies. Originally, the resolutions that I put in front of you said 3 letters, but that was incorrect. So I corrected those. So the resolutions that you have are modestly different than what was presented to you before, but nothing substantive.
Okay,
Madam Chair?
yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Ketchmer?
Just for the public record, maybe it'd be a good idea if someone from the staff could address why this isn't affected by the moratorium, just in case there's a question. I'm not questioning it, but just because it's out there.
I could, Madam Chair, Commissioner Ketchmark. This is a process that goes underneath the EQB rules. So this is the state agency rule that we're following for an EAW, an environmental assessment worksheet. This has nothing to do with a conditional use permit or that process dealing with that kind of approval. So this is a completely separate process. We have another pit with MBE that is currently also working through its EAW that the board ordered a worksheet done earlier in the year. So that process can still go forward even while the moratorium is in place.
Okay. Thank you. I just thought it'd be better for legal opinion to give it than me on the phone call later. Thank you.
Yeah, and just for clarification, Madam Chair, this pit and this amendment will be coming forward with a conditional use permit application as well. So this is just the first stage to then get into the amended conditional use permit process, which by the moratorium is allowed to take place.
All right, is there a recommendation of,
Madam Chair,
of,
I do have one question.
all right?
And I guess it's going to relate to all existing pits. So once the review is done for the gravel requirements and stuff on the new ones, these existing ones will still be under the old rules and until they come up with or request a new CUP or something like to that effect, then those rules would be affected?
That is correct. Anytime a new, what we'll call official control, which is an ordinance, gets adopted, if there's any existing approved uses that were done under the old language, they're considered, at the moment we adopt new language, are considered pre-existing and potentially non-conforming. It depends upon what rules get changed. And so they're allowed to exist under those previous ordinance requirements. Any change to the use would then require an updated conditional use permit, and they would have to bring everything into full compliance.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yeah, Commissioner Vetch?
so the original, or the 88.5 acres of, when there was at one time an EIS conducted on it, it wasn't, well, there was an EIS at one time for the property, correct?
There was an earlier EAW.
Or there's EAW, but there wasn't an EIS at
No, sir.
any point? Okay.
No, sir.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that there wasn't one prior to it, but that's fine. I just,
Correct. So if I could, Commissioner, in environmental review, essentially it can be a very involved process. I mean, they can take years, particularly in the case of environmental impact statements. And so the regulatory agencies allow for the preparation of an environmental assessment worksheet, which is an abbreviated first step in that process. And typically, if that analysis demonstrates that there is not potential for significant environmental effects, that suffices. If it looks like there's potential for effects, then they can make the recommendation, or an EIS can be pursued, but they can take years, they can be very involved. In this case, just like the previous iteration at this pit, there's no evidence suggesting that there would be those types of effects.
the reason I asked, it was, I just was kind of concluding kind of through reading some of it, made it sound like there was one done decades earlier, but that isn't the case.
Isn't the case, yes.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, Board, is there a motion to, I guess, first of all, we could ask if, would be in order for an EIS.
No, Madam Chair, I'll just make a motion for resolution, conclusion in order for no EIS for the stated property or pit above.
All right.
I'll second it.
Motion made for no order, or for an order for no EIS for the Nactivoran pit by Commissioner Batch, seconded by Commissioner Delyden. Is there any more discussion, or perhaps we can read, if you have the updated resolution, do you have that with you? If you,
Yes, I presented it to
all right,
the minute taker.
okay.
I think the issues that were brought up by the state agencies, which were,
Yeah.
all the comments were from state agencies, which is a typical practice for EAWs, were well addressed by the staffs and the comments and through the EAW. So I think that due diligence has been done, so.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. All right. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, it's a roll call vote. Commissioner Ketchmark?
Aye.
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 All right.
Thank you.
Resolution passes. Thank you. Thanks for all the hard work getting that together. All right. Mr. Virgil Hawkins, welcome.
Morning, Madam Chair and Board of Commissioners. There's 3 highway items for your consideration this morning. The first one is recommending award of contract for the Otsego Truck Station Building expansion. We received bids on June 7th. There's a letter of recommendation from the architect in your packet with a bid summary. We recommend award of the contract to Roshan Corporation of Otsego, the amount of $1,441,000.
All right, does anyone have any questions about that? Otherwise, I would.
I'll make a motion to approve the, award the contract for the Otsego Truck Station bid to Roshan Corporation of Otsego, Minnesota, in the amount of $1,441,000.
I'll second. You can have it.
Motion made by Commissioner Lyden, seconded by Commissioner
all
Wett,
you.
or need more discussion or any
Yep,
discussion? Yes.
Madam Chair. How much additional, or what is the crux of additional space? And if I remember correctly, you're putting in some additional tanks for the salt brine solution and stuff too, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, the additional bays, it's adding 3 bays to the shop, 65 feet by 94 feet building expansion. And originally was going to be part of it was going to be an enclosed salt brine facility in the building, but it was decided later to move that out and have a separate salt brine building be built at our Buffalo shop, which it's still part of the project, but it's not part of this bid. There'll be a separate bid for that part of it later.
Okay.
The good news on this, though, I want to share with the board is this, when we bid this, we had a pre-bid meeting and we were told the tip-up panels wouldn't be available for 8-10 months, that we're kind of thinking this would have to get done next year, but the low bidder has indicated they do have a slot to get the materials needed, and they're planning to build it this year and have it done before winter this year. So that's
Oh,
good news.
great.
Nice.
All right. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Okay, thank you. The next item is recommend award of contract 2205, Highway 19 Federal One-Way Pair Project in St. Michael. We received bids on Tuesday, June 14th. We had 3 bids. Summaries attached of the bids, and we recommend award to Thomas and Sons Construction of Rogers, Minnesota, in the amount of $3,712,060.38.
All right.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract number 2205 for the CASA 19 Federal One-Way Pair.
All right, motion made by Commissioner Lyden,
I'll second.
seconded by Commissioner Wetter. Any discussion on that?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Lyden?
Virgil and I had a discussion about this earlier. We got really lucky with these bids. The next one was considerably higher, so it was nice. The city of St. Michael and Joint Powers had opened up their bids. It was a different bidder, and I know the guy that runs the water plant, Veolia, said we got some incredible low bids for this because theirs wasn't as good. So it's going to be nice, and it'll be updating some of the roadways there and also the water lines and stuff too. So it'll be a good project.
Yeah, we were very happy with the bids. We were concerned going into it, not sure what we'd get, so we're very happy with these bids.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, all
Thank-
opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. The last item for Highway today is requesting acceptance of the 2021 Highway Department Annual Report. The report was presented and distributed on May 31st to the board members, and we did not receive any comments back, so we're presenting the same report for acceptance.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Ketchmark.
I sent you an email this morning early. I don't know if you got it, but thanks. You always do a conscientious job and thorough on your reports. And the one thing I had a question on was generated by a citizen ask, but regarding roundabouts, I saw the County 31 by Delno came in at 646,000 and some change. And then on page 11, you got a list of roundabouts from 2021 that are in that $400,000 range. So I'm wondering about the difference there, and then going forward, this person referenced roundabout project that's proposed on 35 at Bison Drive that was supposedly in the millions. So I'm wondering about if the concepts are changing, or what is driving the price, if that is the case, in such an increase on that one.
Yeah, that's some good questions, and there's a lot of moving parts to this with roundabouts. There's a number of things. The one at Bison Boulevard and 35 that we awarded bids for a few weeks ago was 2.1 million. And that's a standalone project, which when we build roundabouts as part of a bigger grading project, the costs are less because you have grading items. For instance, 39 in Otsego, we built 3. I think that was 3 years ago when we rebuilt the 4-lane. The total contract was 6 million, a little over 6 million. We built 3 roundabouts and also a 1.5 miles of 4-lane urban design. So if they're part of a bigger grading job, the cost goes down. This one at Bison, it's also federal money, so there's federal wage rates involved. And comparison to other standalones we've done several years ago at 34 and Calder was about 1.2 million. So in general, the last 3 years, costs for things, storm sewer and the availability, is just a general increase in cost for standalone projects like this especially.
So that, the bunch of them from last year at 400,000, how did we get such a good deal on a good
So-
share of those?
Yeah, I think the one in Delano you're referencing, I think that was a mini roundabout. That's a whole different design, a lot smaller, a lot less scope of work.
But that one was 600-some thousand, and then the rest I saw referenced on page 11 was 400,000 and some change. So would those have been minis also, or?
Yeah, I don't think there's any that price. They've always been near $1 million, $1.5 million. What we're at on page 11, are you looking?
Yeah, I don't have a connection now. Good thing I wrote the page number down. But you see on page 11, I think it was towards the middle, is there a list of roundabouts, and there's the $400,000 price range?
I didn't print that part.
Oh, the 400,000 is the federal grant we got to go towards the roundabout.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, so the total cost isn't in there.
No, only this 2021 report would have the total costs that were built during that year for 2021. Or if there's other projects we're working on designing, they're in here too. There's a lot of information in here.
Oh, there is 98 pages worth.
But I can look at it closer and. get
Okay,
back
we
to you.
can have another conversation. It was the wide price range that
Yeah.
I was wondering about.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, this is part of the commentary. Just some of the federal money we've acquired in different projects over the last several years. And, yeah, that just shows that we received $400,000 in safety grant money to go towards building the roundabout.
Oh, okay. All right.
Thanks, Mayor.
Madam Chair,
Yeah, Commissioner Glyden.
regarding the roundabout at 35 and Bison, that's scheduled to be done, or starting here pretty soon, correct?
It is. We have a pre-construction meeting Friday, and the preliminary schedule shows starting the week of July 5th or the week of July 11th, depending on when the concrete pipe and structures can get delivered, which we're hoping mid-July. That's kind of the critical path right now. And that, based on that schedule, if those things happen, it'll be completed and opened up before school starts.
Now, are we going to detour then on 34, or are they going to try and keep that open? I just know that when we did the other roundabout,
It will be detoured.
it will be,
There's a
okay.
detour route, yes.
Okay. I just hadn't seen any signs up there saying that detour will begin on such a date.
Yeah, they're looking at starting July 5th, so we'll put something out about a week ahead of time that this road, the message boards, letting traffic know.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Wetter.
I have a question on roundabouts. You go into Hennepin County and they've got so many that are just cement in the middle and flat. Do you do any of those, or do you go and always have station and a mound in the middle.
No, that's a good question. The difference, the ones that are flat and concrete, those are mini roundabouts.
Oh, those are
And
mini.
those are smaller in diameter, and they allow buses and trucks to drive over the top of them.
Okay.
And they're intended to be like that. The others are full-size, and they're bigger footprint.
Oh, so those bigger, I always wondered how a semi would get around some of them little ones.
Yeah, the mini ones are designed so truck traffic drives over the top.
Oh, okay.
And we do have a few in Wright County. We built one in Delano near the school on 30, and there's one in St. Michael near Middle School East on 22 and 18.
Okay.
Yep,
Thank
Madam
you.
Chair. Even regarding that too, even on the larger roundabouts, they have a shoulder that's designed as a mountable so that the semis can go around them too without.
Right,
any-
yeah,
Yeah.
the full-size ones, the interior, there's a concrete apron, and that's for trucks to maneuver and make the
Right.
turns.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner,
And there's a good share of the population that think those are designed in error because of the amount of tire marks that are going over. They think that our fine highway department misaligned that. If you ever got a shortage of things to put on the website for highway, did you ever explain the concept of why it's flat and that the intent is for oversized rigs to actually drive over that and that's not a prohibited area to drive on?
There-
Because I've heard it many times.
For mini roundabouts, for the.
Well, right,
flat
the ones that have the area you can drive over, but.
Yeah, we could look for some resources. I'm sure by now there's some good YouTube videos or different things out there that explain that. But we could do that.
Yeah, if we ever get people to watch the videos on the roundabouts so they know how to use them, be very good too. And they've been posted numerous times in city websites and that sort of stuff, but people still stop at those roundabouts.
Madam Chair. And I think another thing is that those flat ones that are all cement, we always thought that, oh, well, that's a cheaper one for the time being, and they're gonna do something there yet. You know, so that's only a short time.
No, those are permanent and given all the nuances and, issues with roundabouts in general, they are the best intersection control out there. They eliminate serious injuries and fatalities. And I'd have them at every intersection versus a traffic signal if possible.
yeah. We certainly witness people running red lights on a daily basis, and they're dangerous. Sometimes 3 will scoot in.
Do we have a motion for this yet?
No.
Oh, I'll make a motion to
Approve the,
approve the 2021 Highway Department Annual Report.
all right.
I'll
Motion made
second
by
that.
Commissioner Delight, seconded by Commissioner Vetch. Any more discussion? Just, yeah, wonderful, thorough job. Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Madam Chair, just one thing, this will also be posted on the Highway's website, right?
Yes, yeah, we have ours from the last several years
Yeah,
available too.
which is good, it just allows the public to see it, so, thank you.
Thank you.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. That highway report is approved. Thank you. All right. Item C that we pulled from the consent agenda. It is a resolution and, basically it's approval of performance management resolution acceptive of the performance management grant application. So essentially, it's benefits to Wright County for participation in the Minnesota Council on Local Results and Innovations Comprehensive Performance Measurement Program are outlined in Minnesota Statutes 619 and include eligibility for reimbursement as set by state statute, and any city-county participation in the Comprehensive Performance Measurement Program is also exempt from levy limits for taxes if levy limits are in effect. And the Wright County Board has adopted and implemented at least 10 of the performance measured as developed by the Council on Local Results and Innovation in a system to use this information to help plan, budget, manage, and evaluate processes for optimal future outcomes. So Wright County will continue to report the results of the performance measures to its citizenry by the end of the year through publication, direct mailing, posting on the county's website, or through a public hearing on which the budget and levy will be discussed and public input allowed.
Madam Chair, I'll
Yes.
make a motion to approve that resolution.
All right. Motion made by
second
Commissioner
that.
Delyden, seconded by Commissioner Vetch.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner
if we could get somebody from finance just to come up, because they have done this, they have won this award 5 years in a row, at least.
Yes.
Nice.
Good morning, Madam Chairman, Commissioners. Last year, we got roughly around 19,000 for back and reimbursement for
Nice.
this program.
Yeah, so you have won this many years.
Yes.
Yes.
So that's a great, it's showing a great job that the finance department is doing. So I commend you for willing to go this extra mile, because we don't have to do this. This is something extra. So
Yeah.
we appreciate it.
So we want to recognize those efforts.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Resolution is first and second. Roll call vote. Commissioner Delyden.
Aye.
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 All right. Resolution passes. Thanks
Thank
again.
you.
Yep. All right. Oh, I lost my next sheet. Here it is. So administration, under approve addition to committee listing, and we have, we've added actually the Department of Employment, Economic Development, Energy Transition Advisory Committee. So we have an appointment on that committee now. And there's a lot of time involved with that one, so we're adding that to our list of per diems. And we also have recently created committees, so if we would like, we could add the gravel work group to that per diem.
Yes, Madam Chair, that was a good summary of the overall. You may recall, I believe it was at the workshop, there was a discussion, given the time commitment that the Energy Transition Advisory Committee is taking of Commissioner Vetch's time, that be added to the eligible for per diems list. Typically, this would be just a consent item, a housekeeping thing, but expanded it here to an item for consideration, just in case there were other committees that the group wished to add to that list. Similar to fee schedule, if we have a few we want to add right now, rather than doing it again and again, I thought it'd be a good opportunity just to discuss if there were any. If there are not, we'll just add the one and move forward.
I don't you want the gravel work group on there?
It's-
Either way, whichever.
Yeah,
It's on there.
Is
It's in there. It's in there. It's in there.
It is.
Okay.
I
there any other
graciously appreciate Commissioner Catchmark bringing that forward. They ramped it up now because we're still a lot of work, so now we're up to 6 meetings a month.
yeah. It got to be a little more involved than perhaps we knew it was going to be, but so that's good.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
and just mention, there's the employee retention work group, or otherwise called RAISE.
Raise, yeah.
I don't know how long that is gonna go on, but is there any interest or appetite for that one?
Well,
It's
are
not
you on
official. I don't
you
believe it's
are?
officially a committee. It
Commissioner
doesn't
Betch and I.
have
okay.
minutes or anything from it, so it's not really a formalized group. It's more of just a staff level group that we kind of participate in. So I don't know that it kind of meets the box. per
Good.
se.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Wetter?
I don't know how long this one will go on too, but Commissioner Delyden and I are on that environmental health work group. And we kind of show up, I think, the most work is done by planning and zoning and public health, but I don't know how long that's gonna go. Do you know, Mark?
It's probably going to go at least through the end of the year, because it's looking at,
Having a local delegated authority to local.
right, what the county wants to get involved in the future. And the next step right now is they're going to be talking to some of the restaurants, the hotel motels, and to find out if they're happy with what they're getting from the state, or if they would prefer local representation and inspections.
Well, and that's an interesting kind of point there. And I guess at some point, I hope we have a little bit of an update on where that's at. Just knowing the industry and knowing kind of the ins and outs of it, there's some areas that the timing can be crucial in being able to get the inspections and getting the permits when you want. For other areas, it's not. One of the bigger kind of questions that I have, a lot of it is kind of are we bound to a fee schedule that is set by the state or not? And there's a lot of pieces to that.
Yeah, and that one, I believe we are bound by the state schedule, but again, it doesn't pay to move forward if the local restaurants and hotels and all those have no interest. So I think this next step will kind of define whether or not we're going to continue with it or not. I mean, there'll be some things that we definitely want to be looking at changing. There were some of the things that the state would allow us to take that we've already decided no. And I can't remember. There was one that was like, yeah, no, stay away. And I don't remember if it was the hospitals or nursing homes, but I can't recall. And I don't think we've got the minutes. But yes, thanks, Commissioner Vetch. We will bring up some minutes from the next meeting and let you know where we're at with it.
Greatly appreciate it.
So I don't know, do you want, it's up to you.
Up to me.
Up to you.
Well, I think
Sure,
if it
make
would
it uniform. I think
continue,
uniform.
would say yes.
Let's go with the uniformity on it then, so,
Yeah.
all right.
All right, so
All right.
is there,
Madam Chair, I'll make the motion to approve the modifications that were stated here.
all right, motion made by Commissioner Vetch. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Wetter. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? All right, motion carries.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
As long as we just talked about the gravel work group, just one thing that we need to kind of set a date. I believe next week is when the townships have to have something in. So I'd like to get it on, it's either next week board agenda or the week after, depending on when those come in on
Appointments.
appointments.
So, Madam Chair, and for a little further discussion, because I'm guessing we've already from recommendations from townships for citizen placement for those 2-3 spots. Do you want to just have maybe a couple of us bring back a recommendation and review them all, or do you want to just have an open discussion of all applicants here at a board meeting?
You're probably right about that. And I don't know how many applicants we've gotten from the townships. I've only seen one, so I don't know. And
I
when
got
did
a
those
verbal
close?
request, but
I believe it was the 30th, if I remember correctly.
The 30th? Okay, so then in July, we would have to do the
that
appointments.
A couple weeks, but the next Tuesday, we will have to develop how we want to go about that, just.
I think that's a good idea. If you want to have a committee of the whole, or how you want to do that.
I'm expecting just because I've been contacted by over a half dozen people with interest of it, and I told them the process. So I'm expecting we're going to have more than the 2 or 3 people that are going to apply for it. So
Yep.
Yeah, the issue is the 30th is next Thursday. The only day we could really review them would be the 1st, and then for the 5th. So it'd be kind of, I guess it's going to have to be the second week in July. Unless Mark has a better idea.
I have no ideas, Madam Chair.
What, you want to work the 4th, did you say?
Yeah, you can join me.
Where you- What?
Be selling firewood.
Oh, I thought maybe it'd be horseback riding somewhere. Or maybe he'll be delivering the firewood with his
Applications
horse.
are due noon on June 30th. Right now, we got 1, 2,
Only one?
5
Oh, 5?
people from townships, and we have 3 operators on the list.
So I guess we get at least preliminary. How do you want to go about this? Do you want to have just a couple board members review it and bring a recommendation forward with staff? Or do you want,
Yeah,
staff isn't going to want to make any recommendations on it. So I think we're going to have a couple members from here.
Yeah.
I don't think we want to review it as a whole group.
No, I think it would take forever, but I don't know. Do a couple of the other board members want to do it? except from us.
I think that would
Doing
be
it?
best is having two people, two of them that are not in the work group. So any one of the three of you, or two of the three of you.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'd be willing to serve on that. Also,
Yeah,
did we get a contingent or one from the planning commission? Is that
Yeah,
spot been?
yeah, we
You
got
are-
two of them.
You're on the planning commission, so I thought you were kind of a dual role there.
No, I'm not. No, there'll be two members from the planning commission and
Besides you?
besides me.
Okay.
And because I haven't been on there very long.
Can you share
And I
who's
want
on
to
it
have
from the
them.
planning commission yet, or have you guys haven't?
Pardon?
You guys officially appoint for somebody from the planning commission on it, or?
No, I had asked for them to send the information, if they were interested, to Barry. There was 3 that had expressed interest, and I told them to have it done by today, and only 2 sent letters, so.
Okay.
So that'll be easy to decide, I think. So anyway, just where we're at with that.
Yeah, and a little update, so, good.
So I'll leave it up to you guys and however you want to do it with Mark to try and figure out when's the best time to do it. But it looks like it'll have to be July 12th. No, I won't be, yeah, it's the workshop.
Yeah.
So if at all possible, if you guys could do it on July 1st
We're not
or
gonna
the
get this done by
afternoon
the
of
end
the
of the year.
30th would be ideal. But if you can't, you can't.
Mark, your chances of getting it done by the first of the year before your term ends is getting bleaker and bleaker.
Well, the only reason it would be an issue is because of you having all these other meetings.
That must be it.
I'll just start, we'll just do it without
My
you.
entire calendar is blue. If you look at it here, there isn't much open space.
The 30th would work for me. If you want it sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Morning of the 30th?
No, it doesn't close till noon.
So you can meet at
Oh.
1.
So it'd have to be in the afternoon.
Oh, 1, Commissioner Wetter, or
Yeah, that'd be fine.
is that all right? Can you have them gathered by 1?
Yeah, will that give you enough time, Mark?
Good.
Or do you want it 2? No, I don't know. How many would we be interviewing?
You're not going to be interviewing, you're just going to be looking at
Oh,
their,
just looking at them and,
you know,
okay.
their letters and,
Okay.
you know, recommendations. Like I said, we're requiring them to come from the township boards, if I remember
Yep,
correctly.
the citizens have to go through their township board for a recommendation.
And, you know, if there's, we had said 2 or 3, so we'll leave it up to you two to figure out if you come up with 3 ideal candidates or 2.
Okay.
No more than 3.
You're bumped for
Really
that 3.
difficult.
Commissioner Husom, that was from the township they could be township supervisors or recommended by the township for that end. Then you're gonna have a couple operators as well.
Yeah.
I'd suggest that Commissioner Wetter and Commissioner Ketchmark just include, somebody from planning and zoning in case you have questions about operators and
Yeah, good idea.
where their pits are and what they do and what they have in the past.
Well, I was assuming.
Not that
I was assuming
they're
Scott or
gonna
Barry and
provide
you'd be-
recommendation, but they can answer questions
Yep.
about logistics on that.
Well, and I assume Scott or Barry and you would be in with them to help them vet through all this.
Yep, I'll put names in a hat and let them go.
Okay. Whoever available. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Wetter, and thank you, Commissioner Ketchmark, for
That's
doing
gonna be at
that.
1?
Right.
Okay, on the 30th, okay.
And you'll have to bring donuts for Mark.
At 1 o'clock, wow.
Okay. All right, moving on to committee minutes. We won't be going through, we had that discussion at workshop that we won't be reading the minutes per se, but we do have, they're all for public view, and we do need to go over the recommendations, though, from the minutes and to vote on those. So June 7th, we had a committee of the whole it was a public hearing for redetermination of benefits for County Ditch 23 and 31. We had some comments from, not so much from 23, but from 31. And good discussions. The viewers answered the questions. I did have just a couple of tweaks on the minutes. On page 3 of 6, it's the third paragraph from the bottom, the second to the last word in the first sentence. It says title, and I believe it's tile for that one. And I don't know, Commissioner
Yes.
Vetch.
Those other ones. And the other ones
Yep.
was on the top of page 4, it says Vetch guided that question and asked, I guess that part isn't terrible, but it was Vetch said that we are devaluating it instead of paying damages. So there's some extra words in there. If you read it, it doesn't make quite chronological sense.
Yeah, I remember
Yep.
reading that,
So.
thinking the same thing.
Madam Chair, I'm going to make a motion to approve the minutes and the recommendations from the Committee of the Whole Drainage on June 7th. The recommendations, just for summary, was to accept the redetermination of benefits on County Ditch 23 and County Ditch 31.
All right,
I'll second that.
all right. Motion made by Commissioner Vetch, seconded by Commissioner Ketchmark. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. All right, the,
Madam Chair,
yes,
just to start off, and I'll kind of go through the County Board Workshop, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and the recommendation from the June 14th. Or did you have modifications to those minutes?
I did, Madam
You did,
Chair.
okay. I'll back out. I was just going to summarize the recommendations.
Okay.
right.
Thank you. So, under 4 for the hybrid and flex work discussion, the last paragraph before the recommendation, it notes that I wanted to follow up on the request from leadership meeting last October with accountability of how each department accounted for their staff. And that didn't make it to the recommendation, but Administrator Kelly's been collecting that information, and he hasn't gotten it from all the departments, so I would like the recommendation to note that between Administrator Kelly and the remaining office and department heads that we get that. And it's been gone over a couple times since, so it shouldn't be a new topic to anybody, but I would like that added to the recommendation.
I'm sorry, what, on which page?
Oh, it's page 4 of 7, I'm sorry.
At the end, the
Okay,
recommendation.
got
on
it.
page 4.
Okay, I just
And
started,
then-
was daydreamer looking for my page here.
Oh, there's a lot of pages here. And then the last thing would be on page 6 of 7, in the middle, we're talking about, this is the last paragraph before the recommendation on board meeting schedule and agenda process and timeline. Right in the middle, Ketchmark confirmed that the official recommendation was to pilot the new agenda posting deadline of 12 PM on Thursday, starting June 30th. And then down in it gets a little fuzzy in the recommendation. It says toward the last, second to last sentence, maybe, to have staff consider the feasibility of piloting the new agenda posting deadline of 12 PM Thursday, starting Thursday, June 30th, to account for the 4th of July weekend. My intent with the recommendation is that it wasn't a consideration, it was let it start at happening at 12 noon.
And Madam Chair, with that, I'm going to open that one up for just a little bit of a brief discussion. After a little bit of evaluation, I think we can get to that point with talking with staff of a 12 noon, but we might have to wait till the first of the year to that. But I think staff feels that they could, in the short term, get it out by the end of the day, business day on Thursday in the short term, with the goal of by the beginning of next year of having it by noon on Thursday going forward in a more indefinite fashion. But they just need a little bit more time because they have a lot of new people on board and
Yeah.
just getting them all the dots connected. So I think if we kind of baby step into it, but I'll let Administrator Kelly talk to it.
Yes.
And I agree too. I was going to bring that up, so.
Yes, thank you,
Kelly.
Commissioner Vetch, Commissioner Hewsome. We did have the opportunity, staff, to discuss yesterday, just a bigger overall discussion based on what we discussed at the workshop, but at the staff level in order to achieve this. First off, maybe just to speak to the point about the holiday Thursday, not a problem on those holiday weeks. We'll move forward with that. Do have some concerns as we are still getting staff up and going. We do have some ideas that we'd like to bring forward for discussion. We thought a good forum might be the next leadership team where the board and departments are there. Just some thoughts that we had on ways that we can maybe shorten up the meetings, as well as provide some additional information to the board to help the meetings go a little bit smoother, both in information but also in processes. We do have a few other things that are working towards that we plan on rolling out, which we think may take a little bit of time to get that implemented. We've been working on the backside to create a new agenda process of how items get submitted, which will give us a better product in the long run for retention and save time. But we'll need to get that implemented too. So I think that I'd like to continue the discussion if we could at the next workshop, or excuse me, the next leadership team would be my recommended forum to have that discussion. And if you are able to hold off a little bit, we will do our best to shorten up that timeline and try and get Thursday end of day if we can achieve that. But there's a lot of variables in place, so.
And thank you, I appreciate that, because it takes a lot of time. I know from different experiences that there's a lot that happens, and to pare down everything and to capture, what happens, it's not just taking minutes, because they have to take a lot, but then to go through them and to watch the video again and to make sure that everything's accurate. It's a very time-consuming process, and to when we have like 5 committees or whatever we have this week, it's adds to their workload. But so, Commissioner Ketchmark?
Thank you for the feedback, both sides here. So we're thinking by 4:30 Thursday, except when there's a Monday holiday, then it'll be noon? Is that what you're saying that we could do with the current staff?
I think that's what we're going to strive for, yes. Certainly on the holiday, Thursday, we have to get that sooner. That's understood. It's just that consistently meeting that Thursday is a bit of our concern at this time.
Okay, and I can recognize the level of staff and getting proficient, because everybody's not just born with being a good minute taker. There's a lot that goes into that, and hopefully we're giving them the support and training that they need to be as proficient as we need them. And I am going to pursue it later in the year at the right time, because I think that there is room when we keep filling positions that we should get a turnaround that reflects more staffing than less. And
I believe on the recommendations, or somewhere in there, it talks about in September, bringing it back.
you're correct. Are we good with that? Now they're talking about the end of the calendar year.
Well, I think that we can have the discussion at the workshop in September, and they can let us know where they're at. Give us an idea if they still think the first of the year, or if they think the first of 3 years from now.
All right, well, I'll amend the recommendation to the combination thereof. So Monday holidays, we'll have the agenda by noon. Outside of Monday holidays, preferred end of business day Thursday. Revisit in September about the Thursday noon potentially every week, and for the cutting down on the meetings per month. Is that what we wanted to revisit that too?
Yeah, we're gonna have that discussion at the
Okay.
time.
So that's-
Yeah, I was gonna raise
that's
that too, the-
recommendation.
Yes.
Just the
Did you
discussion.
want clarification on that, or do you want, I
He
mean,
was taking copious notes, I think.
I think I got it. I just was going to raise the point that to this point, we hadn't discussed about the 2 meetings per month, and I assume that wanted to be included in the recommendation as well.
I
Look
believe
at
that's
that.
where there was
To
the
look
goal to
at.
trying to get ourselves with making these changes, especially from the agenda perspective and the way we operate within the meeting itself, that we should be able to get that, because that'll be a better use of staff time and board time holistically. Madam Chair, I do want to comment, I appreciate staff working to make this happen. This is kind of a finessing back and forth, because this does assist us in giving us 2 full business days to have that agenda in front of us to do our due diligence. And I understand that this does cut them out of about 8 hours of time that they had previous to work on putting it together. So this is a good step
It's-
forward from the staff. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it is a pretty pretty big ask, actually, but, so hopefully we can work this all out.
I'll second it.
All right, so that recommendation, but are we
I
just
think
doing
we're
this
doing the
one
whole.
and then we'll do the
Yeah,
whole?
we can just do this one and get this one done,
We'll
yeah,
get
so.
this one and then, okay. All right, motion made by Commissioner Ketchmark, seconded by Commissioner Lyden. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, none opposed. And then the rest of the county board workship
And
minutes and recommendations.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and recommendations from the June 14th workshop. Just a quick, most of it was a moving of items that were not completed. The community health assessment and the ARP and the compost facility were moved to future dates. One was held yesterday on June 20th. The other one will be in July regarding the compost facility. The other one was regarding the bathroom improvements at the fairgrounds, which was asked to get estimates and to move forward with that installation. Then there was the discussion, just an informational on the budget piece, and then the other piece was discussed was the hybrid work, and then to direct staff to pursue potential changes to the policies regarding hybrid and flexible work schedules to come forward at a later date.
All right,
Second.
motion made by Commissioner Batch, seconded by Commissioner Lyden.
I don't have to repeat everything he said, do I?
No.
Good.
Was that a little fast?
All right.
I
No
could
more
be like the
discussion?
micro machine guy.
Yeah.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? All right. The minutes and recommendation from the workshop are approved. And then we had a meeting with BKV on June 14th, basically regarding the government center extra charges. We went through different scenarios and amounts. And at the end, Mr. Schwartzman just acknowledged that the amount, it's more important for him to have good relations, and so he withdrew his request for the extra dollars for services, so,
Madam Chair, I'll approve those minutes for informational only.
yep, information only.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Commissioner Lyden, seconded by Commissioner Vetch. Discussion, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Minutes and recommendation are approved. Advisory committee, advisory board updates, and had also discussed kind of having sort of condensed updates for our board members. If Administrator Kelly, you probably have some things that you would cover for all of us, given the AMC and
Yes, just a quick update. We were fortunate to host the AMC District 5 meeting on the previous Monday. Always nice to get those 11 counties in our region in for discussion and have them the opportunity to see our new facility. The timing worked out great on that front. Additionally, I know a fair amount of the commissioners had attended the Soil and Waters annual tour. It's nice to see some of those sites and projects that have been worked on for quite a while. Also nice to see some of our representatives and senators attend and have those discussions, as well as from Bowser. So another successful tour from Soil and Water. Just one other thing to point out, upcoming on next Wednesday at noon, we are going to be doing an open house for employees, and the board is certainly invited for the Well at Work clinic. They're having kind of a ribbon cutting, so just wanted to make awareness of that. Just a few quick updates.
all right, Commissioner Ketchmark.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I had an ESB meeting, and main thing out of that was that there was an audit conducted, and everything was good with the books at ESB, so we're always happy about that, the result of an audit. Also, they're gonna lower the regional radio board operating expense next year by using some of the robust fund balance. Met with Delano Chamber. Fair Board met last night. One item to note, they wanted to make sure I advise that the mud racing has been canceled out there because of lack of entrance. There was apparently some higher profile events around the country, so they're not gonna have that this year. And there is a limited edition of the usual fair book. that if you wish, I can ask the Fair Board to autograph. But I have a few copies at my office, and I'll put some on the front counter as usual, but there are a few available. There's still some people that like to pick one of those up. That's all I had, Madam Chair.
All right. Ryan?
Yeah, thank you. Wellness met last Tuesday afternoon. Just a reminder regarding the spring wellness walk is this week, tomorrow, and the other thing was that there is on the Wright net, a survey about what you would like to see for a cafe, what you would purchase, products in the lunchroom, that sort of stuff. So if you have a interest in that, if you think you would be having special coffee or whatever, feel free to fill that out. And then one of the things I would like to see is that we get some of those recycling pop bottles that we had in the other building. The
Oh,
ones that's-
recycling containers?
Yeah, the ones that say, they look like a pop bottle, large pop bottle. I'd like to see those in our facility here. And Mayor's meeting, we all went to that. That was,
All 5 of us.
yep, and it was a very good time. Enjoyed it. So that's about it.
Right. I'll go last, depending on what everybody else has to say.
So number of meetings I had over the last 2 weeks, but I will start just kind of encapsulate a couple of the few highlights. One that I'd like to share is the Wright County Economic Development Partnership. We had a presentation from Nick from ILT Studios, which is like a startup studio for entrepreneurship training. It's a 10-week program that they really foster people in how to get your business plan created, that one-page business plan, how to get your 90-day action planning, how to get your 30-second elevator pitch. And they're looking for businesses in not businesses, they're looking for potential entrepreneurs in our area that they can give scholarships to go into this 10-week program. They help you solidify funding. So for your business idea, so really trying to take it from just an idea to a real living, walking business. So it was very, very interesting. So, also, I had 3 different meetings here in the last couple of weeks from the energy transition group. A lot of it was discussing and trying to create kind of a matrix that illustrates out the different taxes that energy or power plants pay, from the state general tax to a production tax to a personal property tax to real property assessment tax versus the state assessed tax. And there's a variety of different taxes that they all pay, and some of them are for renewables only pay, some are only paid on the transmission lines and the infrastructure, other ones are paid just on the plant generation, and we're delineating when those light switches go on and off for when the tax is actually paid on it. So right now we're just trying to do an inventory of all the different taxing pieces and try to put it all into one home. Then we're also trying to look at and educate on how LGA and CPA funds work in communities like this. Not so much the CPA funds, county program aid isn't quite have as much finesse to it as, but LGA funds, there's a lot of moving parts that go into the formula and how the funding is determined based on new homes and when the homes are built. There's a whole gambit of things that go into LGA funds, and trying to figure out if there's modifications that maybe would need to be made to that to help offset communities when large power plants are being closed. We'll be touring the King plant next week on June 28th, as we're making our statewide tour of power plants. But lots more to come on that, but I'll kind of short up with those pieces, so.
All right, Commissioner Wetter.
Okay, first of all, I would like to commend the Sheriff's Department for a wonderful open house that they had on June 10th. I really got a big kick out of their robotic little gizmo that can go in and do things, and I wasn't aware that they had that. And so it was really cool what it could do. And then we had extension, and we met the new horticulture specialist, Emily Hansen. And what's good about that is that she actually lives here in Buffalo, so we might, even though she's a shared educator, we might have a little bit more of a plus because she's here in Buffalo. And I met with the city of Rockford. We had that environmental health work group, and that'll be interesting to see whether it continues or not. And Historical Society, mainly we were talking about the retirement replacements, because when Betty goes in August, that's gonna be a hard one to replace. Mayor's meeting, talked about that already in the SWCD tour, and that's it.
All
Madam
right,
Chair.
thank you.
Commissioner Wetter, did you get in the dunk tank at the open house?
No, I didn't. In fact, when I talked to the sheriff, he was hoping for the sun to come out so that the water would warm up. And he did later. I saw pictures, but we had to go by that time, but.
They always say the least likely place you want to be is the last one in the dunk tank.
Yeah.
Not the,
And I'm really kind of upset with.
Hadn't thought of it that way.
I'm really kind of upset with the Fair Board because I had suggested that I would have been in the dunk tank and they could have had, instead of another person dunking, could have dunked county commissioners and gotten a little money at that. But I couldn't last year because I had some surgical incisions that couldn't get wet. But at the fair, when it's so darn hot, I would have in a minute done it.
so you're speaking to, I don't know if the rest of the board knows this, but the Fair Board passed an ordinance, no dunk tanks allowed at the fairgrounds
Yeah.
since last year. And it was interesting because one Fair Board member who was an advocate for that ordinance, but he spoke up at the last meeting that there's a water leak. There was a valve and a cracked pipe. And I said, that'd be a good place for a dunk tank. It's already wet there. So that's the reference, that they can't have a dunk tank. I don't know if that's common around the state, if they're
No,
commonly outlawed at county fairs or not. But,
no.
okay,
It's just because it was political.
might be revisited again.
In other words, nobody wanted to do it.
No, there's another
Well, I
reason.
guess 4-H did it years ago, so for creating funds, so.
They're fun. All right, yeah, I had a lot of meetings, but won't go through everything, but just to have, bring up the EDA, the workshop that we had, invited the different cities and townships. Great discussion, we kind of mentioned that yesterday, but it was, you know, we had a long list of things that people were looking for, and that was great. Mentorship, education, and drug awareness met, and we're looking at doing site visits as one of our projects, going into stores that sell alcohol and tobacco and kind of see what the messaging is and that kind of thing. Also, we had a booth at the sheriff's open house, and it was really, really busy. So it was good, got a lot of information out to people. Public Works, Labor Management, they will be the highway will be at the fair, and there is, of course, very busy with signs and culverts and busy season. State Community Health and Central Minnesota Jobs and Training, one of the things that came up that was a lot of discussion was the fact that the legislature did not finish their sessions, so a lot of groups are in holding pattern. They don't know what funding is going to go through, and so it's been it's important for these groups to know what they're getting for help, so. Otherwise, I think that is about it. I mean, a lot of other things that I won't talk about, no.
Yeah, Madam Chair, it looks like their, HHS is getting ready to have
Yep,
their full meeting, educational thing, and it looks like a church because everybody's in the very back of the room. Nobody's up front, so I don't know if they can hear me or not, but I just thought I'd put that out there for them.
yep, so. All right, if, yeah, nice that they have a room that they can all fit in, so. There is nothing else to come before the board. We're adjourned at 10:11, and we have a meeting at 10:30. We'll see you there. Thank you.